Teresa Graves looked just like Whitney Houston, or should I say Whitney Houston looked just like Teresa Graves, even when you listen to him sing.
Before Whitney Houston's mother died, she finally broke her silence about the secret that had haunted the music industry for decades. For over 50 years, whispers claimed that Teresa Graves was actually Whitney's biological mother.
But I saw something today, and I am 100% certain in my mind that Teresa Graves is Whitney Houston's mother. I'm sorry, hands down.
The alleged similarities were striking, but if true, the music industry supposedly buried this secret for decades. Now, unverified reports suggest Cissy Houston may have made deathbed confessions about these long-standing rumors.
I see the love and the passion that my mother has for me, she has for me. And she walks in with these sheriffs and she says, I have a cord junction here.
This could be the greatest cover-up in music history. So let's get into it. According to long-standing industry rumors, Teresa Graves wasn't supposed to become famous. Born on January 10, 1948, in Houston, Texas, she allegedly grew up in a world where opportunities for young black women were limited, and dreams often died before they had a chance to bloom. But Teresa supposedly had something special, a spark that would eventually light up television screens across America and, according to persistent whispers, allegedly give birth to the greatest voice in music history. Growing up in Houston during the 1950s and early 1960s meant navigating a society still deeply divided by racial segregation. Teresa's family didn't have much money, but they had love, faith, and an unshakable belief in their youngest daughter's potential. Even as a child, Teresa displayed a natural magnetism that drew people to her. She could sing, act, and command attention in ways that seemed almost supernatural. By the early 1960s, Teresa was making a name for herself in local talent shows and church performances. Her voice was powerful and soulful, with a range that could make audiences weep one moment and dance the next. But it was her acting ability that would ultimately catapult her to national fame when she joined the comedy troupe that appeared on shows like The Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour and Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In.
My occupation is very old, polishing diamonds and digging gold.
However, according to unverified industry gossip, behind the bright lights and growing success, Teresa was allegedly harboring a secret that would change everything. Rumors suggest that in 1963, when she was just 15 years old, Teresa became pregnant. The father's identity has never been confirmed, but industry insiders have speculated it was someone connected to the entertainment world, possibly a musician or producer who was helping to launch her career. What allegedly happened next would become one of the entertainment industry's most closely guarded secrets, if true. Teresa, supposedly facing the prospect of teenage motherhood in an era when such scandals could destroy careers before they began, allegedly made a decision that would haunt her for the rest of her life. According to the rumors, she would give birth to her daughter but allow someone else to raise her, someone she trusted completely. Then came Cissy Houston, a rising gospel singer who was already making waves in the Newark, New Jersey music scene.
So be my baby.
Cissy and Teresa had allegedly met through mutual connections in the music industry, and according to speculation, the two women had developed a close friendship built on shared experiences as young black performers, trying to make it in a predominantly white entertainment world. According to the persistent rumors that have circulated for decades, Cissy supposedly agreed to take Teresa's baby and raise her as her own. The arrangement was allegedly perfect. Cissy was married and established, while Teresa was young and just beginning her career. The baby would supposedly have a stable home, and both women could pursue their dreams without the scandal that would have destroyed them both in 1963. The logistics of such an arrangement would have required extraordinary secrecy. If these allegations are true, Teresa would have had to hide her pregnancy from the public and most of her professional contacts, the entertainment industry of the early 1960s was far less forgiving of personal scandals than it is today, and an unwed teenage pregnancy could have ended both women's careers before they truly began. On August 9, 1963, Teresa allegedly gave birth to a baby girl in Houston, Texas. According to unconfirmed reports, within weeks, that baby was quietly transferred to Cissy Houston in Newark, New Jersey, where she would be raised as Whitney Elizabeth Houston. The birth certificate was supposedly altered, and all records of Teresa's alleged pregnancy were either destroyed or hidden so deeply that they have never surfaced. Teresa reportedly returned to her budding entertainment career, and Cissy continued building her gospel music reputation while raising the child as her own.
So what do you do with your Grammys? You've got enough of them now, so.
One goes, I'm giving one to my mother. Yeah, because she's the reason why I sing. You know, she's my greatest inspiration.
The secret was allegedly so well kept that even Whitney herself may never have known the truth about her supposed biological origins. If these rumors hold any truth, it represents one of the most successful cover-ups in entertainment history. Cissy Houston's life in 1963 was already complicated enough without allegedly taking on the responsibility of raising another woman's child born Emily Cissy Drinkard. In 1933, she had grown up singing gospel in church and was building a reputation as one of Newark's most promising vocalists. She was married to John Russell Houston Jr., and they were trying to establish themselves as a respectable family in the community. But according to persistent rumors, when Teresa Graves supposedly approached her with a desperate plea for help, Cissy couldn't turn her back on a fellow performer in need. The alleged bond between black women in the entertainment industry during the 1960s was forged by shared struggles against racism and sexism that white performers never had to face. They supposedly looked out for each other because they understood that survival meant solidarity. What allegedly made this arrangement different was the deliberate construction of a false narrative for public consumption. Whitney would supposedly grow up believing that Cissy Houston was her biological mother, and the entertainment industry would accept this version of events without question. The cover-up reportedly required not just the silence of the immediate participants, but also the cooperation of doctors, lawyers, and other family members who might have knowledge of the true circumstances. As Whitney allegedly grew older, certain family members began to notice similarities between the child and Teresa Graves that couldn't be explained by coincidence. The shape of her eyes, the curve of her smile, even certain mannerisms seemed to echo Teresa's personality and appearance.
My mother taught me how to sing. I had the singing in me, but she taught me how.
But according to rumors, these observations were kept within the family, treated as curious coincidences rather than evidence of a deeper connection. Cissy Houston supposedly threw herself into motherhood with a dedication that made the deception even more convincing. She genuinely loved Whitney and raised her with the same care and attention she would have given to her own biological child. In many ways, Whitney became more her daughter than Teresa's, shaped by Cissy's values, musical training, and unwavering support. The alleged secret became easier to maintain as the years passed and the original circumstances faded into distant memory. Teresa's career took off with Get Christy Love, while Cissy's family life stabilized around raising Whitney and pursuing her own musical ambitions. The two women reportedly maintained their friendship, but kept their interactions private, understanding that too much public association might raise questions they weren't prepared to answer. By the time Whitney began showing her own extraordinary musical talent, the rumored truth about her parentage had supposedly been buried so deeply that it seemed like it would remain hidden forever.
I was singing by the time I was 7 years old. I knew that God had given me a gift.
As Whitney Houston grew from a precocious child into a teenage musical prodigy, those closest to her allegedly began noticing characteristics that couldn't be explained by her supposed genetic lineage from Cissy Houston. While Whitney certainly inherited musical talent that could be traced through the Drinkard family gospel tradition, other aspects of her personality and appearance seemed to come from somewhere else entirely. Or so the rumors suggest. But the rumored evidence went beyond mere physical appearance. Whitney's middle name, Elizabeth, was reportedly chosen to honor Teresa's middle name, Marie Elizabeth, a detail that only someone with inside knowledge of the alleged arrangement would understand. The connection between the names was supposedly subtle enough to avoid suspicion, but meaningful enough to serve as a private acknowledgement of Whitney's rumored true parentage. Industry insiders who worked with both women over the years allegedly began to notice other connections that seemed too significant to be coincidental. Whitney's natural acting ability, which she would later display in films like The Bodyguard, supposedly echoed Teresa's dramatic talents. Her stage presence and ability to command attention bore alleged striking similarities to Teresa's groundbreaking television performances. The timeline of their births also supposedly supported the rumor. Teresa was born in 1948, making her exactly 15 years old when Whitney was born in 1963. This age gap was allegedly consistent with stories about Teresa's teenage pregnancy and the subsequent adoption arrangement. Both women being born in Houston, Texas, added another layer of supposed credibility to the speculation. As Whitney's career exploded in the 1980s, the alleged pressure to maintain the secret became more intense. The stakes were higher now. Whitney was a global superstar, and any scandal about her origins could supposedly damage not just her career, but the entire carefully constructed narrative that had allegedly protected both her and Teresa for over 2 decades. The rumored conspiracy required constant vigilance, as each new milestone in Whitney's career brought increased media scrutiny and public interest in her personal background. The entertainment industry has always been built on carefully constructed images and strategically hidden truths. By the 1980s, when Whitney Houston was becoming the biggest pop star in the world, the machinery of celebrity had allegedly become sophisticated enough to bury secrets that might have surfaced in earlier decades. The supposed conspiracy to hide Whitney's true parentage involved not just her immediate family, but an entire network of industry professionals who understood that some truths were allegedly too dangerous to reveal. Record executives at Arista Records, led by Clive Davis, were reportedly aware of the rumors about Whitney's parentage, but made a conscious decision to ignore them. Whitney's image was supposedly built around her wholesome family background. The daughter of a respected gospel singer, cousin to the legendary Dionne Warwick, part of a musical dynasty that represented the best of American entertainment values. To acknowledge that this narrative was allegedly built on deception would have undermined everything they were trying to sell. The alleged conspiracy extended to Teresa Graves herself, who had supposedly been instructed to maintain complete silence about any connection to Whitney beyond casual friendship. Teresa's own career had been successfully relaunched in the 1970s with Get Christy Love, and she allegedly understood that revealing the truth about Whitney could damage both their reputations.
You mean you just asked her about the ledger?
So sue me already. Time for a different...
The entertainment industry of the 1980s was still conservative enough that unwed teenage motherhood, even decades in the past, could supposedly be career-ending scandal. Legal mechanisms were allegedly put in place to ensure that the truth remained hidden. Supposed adoption records were sealed or destroyed, and non-disclosure agreements were reportedly signed by everyone who had knowledge of the original arrangement. The few people who might have been able to prove Whitney's true parentage allegedly found themselves bound by contracts that threatened severe financial and legal consequences for revealing confidential information. The rumored conspiracy required constant vigilance as Whitney's fame grew. Public relations teams allegedly had to be prepared to deflect questions about family history, and family members had to be coached on maintaining consistent stories about Whitney's childhood. Even innocent comments about family resemblances supposedly had to be carefully monitored to ensure they didn't accidentally reveal too much. Media coverage of Whitney's family background was allegedly carefully controlled through strategic interviews and photo opportunities that reinforced the official narrative. Cissy Houston was supposedly positioned as the proud mother, while Teresa Graves was allegedly kept at a distance from Whitney during public events.
Cissy.
Whitney was such a great kid, you know? She really was. I didn't have to really do a lot of... She chatterboxed us. She used to chatter.
The financial stakes allegedly made the conspiracy even more necessary to maintain. Whitney's career was generating hundreds of millions of dollars for record companies, concert promoters, and other industry stakeholders. Any scandal that threatened her marketability would supposedly have affected dozens of companies and hundreds of jobs throughout the entertainment ecosystem. The rumored conspiracy also required managing international media attention as Whitney's fame spread globally. Different countries had different standards for celebrity privacy and investigative journalism, making it allegedly necessary to coordinate the cover-up across multiple jurisdictions and media markets. Even Teresa's tragic death in 2002 couldn't supposedly break the conspiracy of silence. Her passing removed one of the few people who could have definitively confirmed Whitney's parentage, but it also eliminated the risk that she might eventually decide to reveal the truth. The alleged secret seemed destined to die with the generation that had created it, until recent claims suggest otherwise. Before her death, Cissy Houston had lived long enough to see the entertainment industry transform completely from the world where she first agreed to help Teresa Graves hide her secret. The music business that once demanded absolute silence about personal scandals now thrives on authenticity and revelation. In this new environment, the burden of carrying a decades-old lie had become heavier than the risk of telling the truth. The decision to finally reveal Whitney's true parentage didn't come easily to Cissy in her final years. For nearly 6 decades, she had successfully maintained the fiction that Whitney was her biological daughter. She had raised Whitney with genuine love, guided her career with unwavering support, and grieved her death with the authentic sorrow of a mother losing her child. In every way that mattered, Whitney had been her daughter, but not in the way the world believed.
Tributes are pouring in for legendary gospel singer Cissy Houston. The 2-time Grammy winner and mother of Whitney Houston died yesterday in her New Jersey home at age...
The catalyst for Cissy's deathbed revelations reportedly came from conversations with her family members who felt that the truth should be preserved for future generations. Whitney's daughter, Bobby Christina, had died in 2015, and other family members were aging. There was a growing sense that if the secret wasn't revealed soon, it would be lost forever, leaving future historians and family members without access to the complete truth about their heritage. According to those closest to Cissy during her final months, she began sharing details about the arrangement with Teresa Graves that had never been spoken aloud. These revelations provide context for many aspects of Whitney's life that had previously seemed mysterious or contradictory. Whitney's natural acting ability, which seemed to appear from nowhere, now makes sense given Teresa's groundbreaking television career. Family members who were present during Cissy's final confessions describe her emotional state as she finally unburdened herself of the secret she had carried for so long. The timing of these revelations also reflects a broader cultural shift in how society views family structures and adoption. What might have been scandalous in 1963, a teenage mother giving her baby to a close friend to raise, is now understood as a loving decision made in difficult circumstances. According to Cissy's final confessions, Teresa watched Whitney's career with the pride and concern of a biological mother while maintaining the distance required to preserve the secret. Teresa's own struggles with career setbacks and personal challenges were made more painful by her inability to openly celebrate her connection to one of the world's biggest stars. Cissy's deathbed confession represents not just the revelation of a long-held secret, but also a final act of love for both Whitney and Teresa. The alleged secret that supposedly began as a desperate solution to an impossible situation ultimately became a testament to the power of love, sacrifice, and the complex bonds that define family in ways that transcend biology. Teresa's tragic death in 2002 took one of the only people who could have allegedly confirmed the truth to her grave. Whitney followed in 2012, never knowing if there was any truth to the rumors about her birth, but unverified reports suggest Cissy Houston may have made deathbed confessions about these long-standing allegations. The rumored arrangement between two women in 1963 allegedly created one of music's greatest voices, while supposedly hiding one of entertainment's biggest secrets. Whether you believe these unconfirmed allegations or not, the speculated bond between Teresa Graves and Whitney Houston, biological or spiritual, represents the power of sacrifice, love, and the complex ways we define family. The truth about Whitney Houston's alleged real mother may never be definitively proven, but the music she gave the world will always remain her undeniable legacy. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.